At 3:30 p.m. yesterday, in broad daylight, I was racially attacked by two white teenage girls. It started off as two young girls who decided to sit across from me. The train was fairly empty, but they chose to target me, clearly, because I look not white. They sat across from me, started pulling funny faces. I ignored them as little girls being silly. Then they proceeded to make racist remarks about my heritage or my country of origin. They assumed incorrectly that I was from India, but I do have an Indian descent. I look visibly Indian. So they made a lot of comments about that. And when all of those did not elicit a reaction, then one of the girls decided to spit on me. That is when I stood up for myself and I said something which the girls weren't expecting. They felt intimidated. And when I proceeded to press the emergency button on the train, because I was dead serious about getting these two girls into trouble, as soon as the train doors opened, they fled the scene. Now, did the train driver respond to my emergency call for help? No, he didn't. I pressed the button twice. He didn't respond. I approached the station staff. I got off where the girls got off. That wasn't my end destination. I approached the station staff for help. Zero help. They just said you've just got to make a complaint, but they didn't have any directions whatsoever of who to call, any numbers I can call, nothing. Zero. They were absolutely clueless. One of them even proceeded to tell me that they are afraid of traveling in the train themselves because of these sorts of incidents. What happened to me didn't happen in isolation. This is a direct result of the March for Australia protest that was held on Sunday. Neo-Nazis on that day stormed Camp Sovereignty. Their leader, Thomas Sewell, has been arrested. I am grateful that he has been arrested. In a totally separate incident, in Sydney, two Palestinian men were physically assaulted and attacked in broad daylight once more in the train. Also, the reporter, Nabil El-Nashar, who has been reporting on the protests, interviewing people, and covering this March for Australia protest and the ideas behind it and the reasoning why are people protesting. He's been very diligent in providing us with up-to-date reports. He is getting a barrage of racist trolling, racist attacks online, and he continues to receive them. Where is the protection for people of color in this country? We have the illusion of protection, the illusion of there being an emergency button, the illusion of, oh, there are staff present, in broad daylight. It's all an illusion. There is zero protection. Not only is there zero protection, there doesn't seem to be any consequences for these sorts of perpetrators. They're feeling emboldened. Meanwhile, our politicians, our government is dragging its feet, not implementing the 63 recommendations made by Australian Human Rights Commission on the national, how do we solve racism? There is a national anti-racism framework. Lots of effort, lots of time was spent in creating this report. The government, it's been more than 9 months now, the government refuses to do anything with that report. We need protection now. And it breaks my heart to say this. If you're a visible minority like myself, you're visibly not white. You need to take precautions if you're out and about in public. Make sure your phone is fully charged. Make sure you carry a spare battery with you in case your phone runs out of battery. Number 2, if you're traveling in public transports, if you're in the train, make sure you take a photograph of the carriage number that you're in. Okay, every carriage has a number associated with it, and it will really help police officers zoom in on the perpetrators if you note that number down. Take note of what time you board the train. Timing is also very important. If you're in a tram or a bus, take note of the bus or tram number that you're in as well. It will really help police with their investigation, okay, if you ever face these sorts of incidents. These are the things that you need to do real quick. Nobody's going to teach you that, all right? So be vigilant, keep that in mind. 3, do not put yourself in harm's way. These 2 teenage girls, I knew they weren't they just wouldn't have been able to take me on physically if they did try to attack me. Okay, let's put it that way. I would have kicked their butts, right? I'm pretty strong. But, you know, if you're not in a situation where you can physically protect yourself, don't ever put yourself in danger. Leave the train, leave the tram, you know, or move away. But don't just sit there if you're in danger, okay? But if you're not, and if it's just 2 little girls like the ones that I faced being silly and just being emboldened with their racist attacks spitting at you, yeah, stand up and say something. Don't run away. Be bold. What was the next one? Next one, when you do make a police report, and you absolutely must, I know it's very, very common for us to face racism daily, on a daily basis, covert, overt, tiny, small, minuscule, undertones of racism. It's very normal. We are so desensitized, but we need to practice the habit of complaining. Okay, so you must make a police report if you face such incidents. And when you do make a police report, make sure it's reported as a prejudiced, motivated crime. These 3 words are very, very important. And thankfully, I got the help of Mario Puca, who's a researcher and academic in this anti-racism space. He's done a lot of amazing work, and he specifically told me to use those 3 words, prejudiced motivated crime, when making a police complaint, which is exactly what I did last night. I am going to aggressively pursue this, not just with Victoria Police, but also Metro Trains for their negligence, but also with government agencies themselves, who really, the buck starts and stops with them. Really, it is them for decades now that started this practice, this culture of racism in Australia. I've not seen this kind of racism having lived in other countries. Yes, it includes white countries. It's not like this. Australia's racism is just on a different level. Okay, but that's a story for another time. But if you're a visible minority like me, be safe, be vigilant, be prepared, because it is not normal to face these sorts of racist attacks immediately after the March for Australia protests. It's just not normal. The numbers are just too high. So I have to urge all of you to be vigilant.